What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate, reverse rants, no hate. The other day I did a video. Now, Roy Jones was being interviewed. And in that interview, Roy Jones was talking about Deontay Wilder. He want to see him tighten up before he fight Anthony Joshua. AJ's bigger, stronger. He think AJ would beat Wilder. And that if that, he's not going to say he should retire because he's not going to try to ever tell a man not go make his money. And plus, of course, we know nobody has that right to tell you you should, but out of concern and love, people will. Even as sarcasm. But bottom line, he said that. The other thing he talked about was Jake Paul. Now, when he was asked about Jake Paul, Roy Jones said, people better take Jake Paul serious. He's a real fighter. Like, Jake Paul is good. And, yeah, man, he's not here to lay down. Jake Paul's for real. The guy interviewing Roy Jones don't sound like he even thinks much of Jake Paul. Neither do I. The guy asked Roy Jones. He said, I'm going to put you on the spot now, Roy. And this is how I know he knows he doesn't think much of Jake Paul. He asked Roy Jones, do you ever see Jake Paul being a world champion? Now, after Roy Jones stood there and glazed Jake Paul, now he goes, no. And he say, why not? He goes, well, Jake Paul's best chance of winning the fight is against somebody like myself or Mike Tyson, somebody that's past their prime, basically, okay? Over the hill, shot fighter, whatever you want to say. Then Roy Jones commenced to saying that if Jake Paul fights someone his age, pretty much he's going to lose because those guys have too much experience, which is something we've always known, okay? We've already said that. This guy's disgraceful and made a fucking career out of fighting old washed-up MMA guys and old washed-up boxing guys and, all these things. Big-ass Logan Paul, 200-something pounds, fought little fucking Mayweather and went the distance and had the nerve to say it's a moral victory because I fought the best fighter in the world and I went the distance. Like, it's just like, wow. I could already see the writing on the wall when this stuff started. Praise, 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 because business-wise, they're so smart and this and that. Yep, money, money, money. Let's make a spectacle of everything. I already saw what was happening. Now, here's the funny thing. I told you guys in that video, Roy Jones is saying this stuff because Roy Jones don't want to blow an opportunity to work with Jake Paul to some capacity in the future. Lo and behold, today, Thursday, okay, July 3rd, right? I saw a video where Roy Jones is being interviewed by Ellie Setback, and Ellie asked him, how does he see Jake Paul as a fighter? He said, Jake Paul's good, man. Jake Paul, he ain't coming to lay down like Jake Paul's a real fighter. People better take him serious. Same thing, right? But then, Ellie Setback says to Roy, do you see him being a champion? Like, how many fights you think it'd take for him to fight to be, ready for a world title? Roy said, about 2 fights. Now, you just said you don't see him being a champion. He's not ready. No. Now, you changed your mind just like that in a couple of days. Then, Roy Jones said he wants to fight Jake Paul. He says, imagine this. Roy Jones never actually got a chance to win the Cruiserweight championship. You know what I'm saying? And you know what I'm saying? Jake Paul won to fight for the championship. Now, imagine somebody vacate their belt and then Roy Jones versus Jake. Nah, man. And he's like, he put that out there. I told you guys, it's always an agenda with these people. So Roy Jones, let's listen to his words. You go from saying Jake Paul won't win a championship, he's not good enough. Okay, basically. You said he has a better chance of winning against a guy like himself. And the fact that he threw himself in it in the last video, I said, yeah, like I said, he's trying to not ruin an opportunity to move forward with this guy. And I told you I wouldn't be shocked if he calls Roy Jones out. Okay, now Roy Jones is saying for the Cruiserweight championship. Roy Jones cannot possibly talk about fairness in boxing. Breaking through this political bullshit force field when he's done nothing to deserve a title shot, even if the title was vacant. And neither has Jake Paul. So let's just look at this. Roy Jones versus Jake Paul, more than likely, Jake Paul wins this fight. Okay. Roy already lost to a former MMA guy, okay, who was a novice to boxing. You mean to tell me you're okay with Jake Paul being a cruiserweight champion without having to fight a Jai Opataya or another actual legitimate cruiserweight, but an old man who can't even jog because his knees are shot. But because of what he's done in the past, because of his name, his legend, this is an opportunity for two guys to fight for a vacant title. No, if that's the case, book Jai Opataya versus somebody else to fight for that, to unify, to fight for undisputed, to instead not some old washed up guy as some fucking novice punk who basically made a career off of beating has-beens. See, this is exactly what I be talking about, man. I don't care how much you like a fucking fighter. I don't care how much you like a team. People are people. And you need to understand that. And the fact that Roy Jones injected himself into that picture is like, yeah, see, this is what I'm saying. Now, I can't fault him as far as making his money and wanting to make his money, but you can't sit here and talk about the right thing to do. He talked about, Roy Jones was talking about, he did an interview, Vinny Pazienza was sitting there, and he was talking about how he got nothing but respect from Vinny Pazienza because Vinny came all the way from lightweight. I've talked about that before, and it's just ironic they come to do this show all at the same time. And he basically was saying how the same thing about after the broken neck situation and everything. And he was saying he didn't want to hurt Vinny Pazienza, because he know what happened with his neck and everything. But he's saying Vinny don't care. And he was talking about how we'll die in that ring before we don't honor our contract. We'll die because that's what you're supposed to do. A man's supposed to die for what he believes in. So if you say you're supposed to make 168 pounds, we're going to make 168 pounds. Now, he basically was addressing that to Keyshawn Davis for making the 4 pounds and not trying to lose the 4 pounds. Well, y'all should have also had that same fucking energy towards Ryan Garcia. For one, being a drug cheat, a racist motherfucker, and a piece of shit of a human being. You understand what I mean? Not just let's talk about one person not making weight and overlook the other. So I agree, honor your contract, make the fucking weight. But at the same time, with all this talking about dying for what you believe in and dying in the ring, this is the same Roy Jones I saw when he had his interview right before the Glenn Johnson fight, and he was talking about how angry he was and how you ain't supposed to be going around mad, wanting to kill nobody, and this and this and that, and boxing is about winning. It's not about killing nobody, so you be willing to kill yourself to make the weight because you wrote your name on a piece of paper. And, people talk a lot of shit, man, but you basically went in there, and even in making weight, you came in there and looked bad when you were no longer in your prime and you was losing the guys that we know you would have wiped the floor with earlier, in your career. At what point was you willing to die in there? At what point? Because you got knocked out by guys that you shouldn't have got, that you wouldn't have got knocked out by before, guys that wouldn't have been able to touch you. Okay, and that's Antonio Tarver included. But because you signed your name on a piece of paper, you're supposed to honor that because I get it, honor your contract, I agree. But all I'll be willing to die for it, and if it kills me to make the weight, I get you. But it's wiser to go up in weight. Vinny talked about how he almost died and all, and he was seeing clouds and all this kind of shit. Whatever. But bottom line, now all of a sudden Roy Jones puts his name in the hat. Don't be shocked if that's the next fucking actual fight. Roy Jones versus fucking Jake Paul. I told you, Evander Holy, for somebody like this is the type of shit Jake Paul is on. Look, I saw something and I didn't talk about it. Okay, I read this article. Berlanga versus this guy Shiraz is now for a title. What fucking title? They both fight at 168 pounds. Canelo has all the fucking titles. So what fucking title are they fighting for? What title are they fighting for? I mean, what, some WBA regular belt? What belt are they fighting for? No, this is Turkey Al-Sheikh with his bullshit. This is him coming up with some goofy shit to what is he what's I don't like what is the, what are they gonna do now? Make some another trophy belt for these guys to fight for? What how is this a title fight, man? How? Shiraz is a good boxer, and he should beat Berlanga. Berlanga talks a lot of crazy shit and say a lot of disrespectful shit, but in the ring, you know, he's still a prospect. But regardless of who wins, what belt are they fighting for? This is a title fight. This is what Turkey said. You see how people start something and they seem like they're separating themselves from what has already been done? Mauricio Sulaiman is the king of making these trophy belts. What's any different with Turkey? With the exception of, yeah, his cards have been better than everybody else's cards, but what's so different about his mindset? So now what make-believe belt they're going to fight for now? Huh? They're going to go get some bullshit belt made up to fight for what? And is this some official belt or just another belt to walk around with on your shoulder that you can't defend or lose? But this is what I'm saying. Who the fuck wants to see Roy Jones versus Jake Paul? I don't. I certainly don't. But this is what Roy is talking about. So when I told you guys, Roy is trying to keep himself in a position where he'll have an opportunity to work with this dude one way or another. See, a lot of times I know y'all hear me and y'all go, okay, I got you. But it don't really sink in until shit like this comes out. Then you go, damn, you was right. How many fucking times y'all gonna have to say, damn, you was right. Damn, you was right. It's just called maturity, common sense, and observations. That's all. I just pay attention to what's happening. And, you know, if Roy want to go in there and get embarrassed by going the distance or get knocked out by Jake Paul, be my guest. Now, to be honest with you, the only person comes out is looking like a winner if he wins is Roy. Because Roy's washed up. He's shot. Okay, he's shot. Jake Paul win. He's supposed to win. Roy's an old shot fighter. Big deal. Who wants to see that shit? Roy Jones versus Jake Paul. Imagine somebody vacate their... Oh, I'm like, wow. Roy, I think you talked a little bit too much because you might have just told on yourself that this is the next fight that's coming up. I'm just saying, I won't be shocked at all. It's obvious Jake Paul has the list of all the senior citizen fighters, and he's going to pick them off one by one. Like I said, he wants to be the Randy Orton of professional boxing. He wants to be the legend killer. Because basically that's all he's doing is fighting old, washed-up fighters. Now, you'll fight these guys, but you won't fight Francis Ngannou. He doesn't want to fight anybody that he knows he can't knock out, but they can knock him out. He doesn't want to fight anybody like that. And for all the people that bought into the hype thinking that Mike Tyson, with his fucked up back, his fucked up legs, was going to go in there and do something because y'all watched him hit a punching bag. I told you guys, man, stop feeding into fantasy shit. But, hey, man, this is what you guys like. You like the fake shit. That's the era we live in. That's the time we live in. Anyways, that's all I got for you guys, man. I told you, Roy Jones, all these guys trying to put their name in the hat to get the lottery ticket. And that's all this shit comes down to. It's big money. Everything with this guy. Spectacle. What's the spectacle about watching a young novice punk fight some old washed up guys? But you guys will tune in and watch. The numbers on Netflix, Tyson versus fucking Jake Paul, shows it all. You could have took Amanda Serrano versus Katie Taylor off of that fight. The same amount of people still would have tuned in. Real simple. Anyway, talk to me in the comment section. Never fall in love with lies. Remember, the truth brings hair to people, and I will catch y'all on the next video.